千里之行，始于足下。A journey of 1,000 miles begins beneath the feet. We now gather in the Tao to travel the journey together. Welcome to Tao Talks with Derek Lin, where we take a deep dive into the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. As always, I want to extend my welcome to you. Thank you for joining us. I would like to invite you to center your thoughts and direct your attention to this moment in time, to the here and now, to be fully present and mindfully aware as we are ready ourselves for this sacred process in the Tao with one another. Now, let me link this line that you see here. When the world knows beauty as beauty, ugliness arises. This, along with our discussion on how the world is heavily leaning toward physical beauty, this can be studied along with what we have already seen in chapter 1 for greater insights. So here we are, the Tao of beauty. So first, I begin with the line that we looked at. When the world knows beauty as beauty, ugliness arises. Keep in mind that we're talking about the material world. The world is this physical universe, the material plane in which we live. And in this world, we go right back to what it says in chapter 1. Constantly with desire, one observes its manifestations. That means the world is talking about most of us being totally immersed in material existence. We live our lives with materialistic desires. So what we see and know are mostly about the external manifestations, the physical appearance. And that is what this arrow here is meant to depict. Although we say, don't judge a book by its cover, we know quite well that is often what happens. People judge one another based on the initial surface level impression. Tao cultivators who understand this dynamic can transcend it and make their own assessment from a detached, desireless state. That state lets you look through the superficial level in order to observe the internal essence of a person. That is this right here, the counterpart to the previous line. Constantly without desire, one observes its essence. We can apply that to beauty as well. This means not just looking at pleasing appearance, but looking at the internal characteristics of the person. Now, Lao Tzu further notes that both internal and external arise from the Tao, and there's dynamic interaction between the two. That's represented here at the bottom. These two emerge together, but differ in name. So we have the external looks, the beauty that we see with our eyes, and then we have the internal beauty, what we can sense. And there's dynamic interaction between the two. This gives us some insights about life, that they affect one another. They both come from the Tao, and they interact. The internal affects the external affects the internal. So how can the external appearance affect the internal state of mind? Well, it's actually easy to see. We know that when we take proper care of our appearance, when we are presentable to the world, this external manifestation becomes like an expression of your internal essence. It's the essence, the sense of self-respect and confidence. You are also signaling to the people you interact with that you have a proper respect for that interaction. Therefore, you look good on the outside and you feel good on the inside. This is how the external can have an influence on the internal. I think that's easy to see. I think this is consistent with our daily experience. We've all had times when we're walking around having taken care of the appearance, looking good and know it. And then people compliment you. Hey, you're looking nice today. Sometimes we say to people when they look very presentable, hey, you look like $1,000,000. And there's a smile on your lips when you look good and feel good, ready to take on the world. That's what this is about. So what about the other way around? What about the internal affecting the external? That's what Lao Tzu says or predicts will happen. We see that he is right. When you become more refined internally, you improve not just spiritually, but also that improvement drives the improvement mentally and physically. You are more together, quote unquote, as a person. Mentally, you've got, as they say, all your ducks in a row. You've got it together. You keep it together internally. This is sooner or later reflected in your appearance. Your appearance improves as a direct result and a reflection of your internal essence. That is how the internal can affect the external. It makes sense. It is also something that we have experienced. So a little more about all this discussion with physical beauty versus internal spiritual qualities, spiritually beautiful. What is all that? Let's compare. Physical beauty in our world, well, it's got a huge impact. Why does it have a huge impact? Well, after all, you and I, all of us, we are all physical beings. We can't deny that. We are all hardwired by evolution and biology to appreciate physical beauty in anyone. So someone with extreme beauty in that regard can have a big effect on people everywhere. You can tell that sometimes in the presence of extreme beauty, some people can become very tongue-tied or nervous. You can also tell that even those who say they don't care about looks, they too are powerfully affected by looks. We can't get away from the fact that we have that part of us that is so oriented toward physical beauty. Another way to see it is that we have entire industries. We have entire industries devoted, built on beauty. How so? Well, in the entertainment industry, anything that is performance-based puts a huge premium on physical appearance. Whether we're talking about movies, shows, plays, music, dance, any kind of presentation, all performance-based entertainment are fixated on beauty. We also have industries like cosmetics, that is, of course, focused on beauty, beauty care, improving beauty, covering up flaws. It's a huge industry. Even the fitness industry, a big component of it is about looks. One can say, well, I'm getting into fitness because I want to be healthy. What is not being said, but just as true, is that I want to be more fit because I want to look better. Being more fit indeed will lead to better looks. The other big thing that we know about physical beauty is that it's transient. It doesn't last. By its very nature, it is not permanent. There's the beauty of youth. In the greater scheme of things, youth comes and goes very quickly. For many people, the beauty of youth perhaps will last 10 years, maybe 20 years. Then it starts slipping away because of age. And sometimes we look at people who are starting to slip, and perhaps we knew them as someone looking pretty good before. When we perceive an appearance that is not as good as the way you used to be, we may say things like, wow, he really let himself go. Meaning he has not taken good care of his physical appearance. Maybe out of shape, maybe sloppily dressed, maybe bad posture, or a combination of the above. And that's the other side of it too, that people in trying to keep beauty, youth, for as long as possible, devote time and effort into maintenance. All kinds of cosmetics, beauty care products are used and make tons of money because of our obsession, perhaps attachment with beauty. Now let's examine the other side. What about the spiritual beauty? Unlike physical beauty. Well, physical beauty, we know, is something that can make an immediate impression. When you see someone, your initial impression is going to be about the looks. With spiritual beauty, it is something that is not immediately apparent, but can be perceived over time. When you get to know someone, get to know how they think, how their minds work. Of course, in the Tao, we should also note, when we're talking about beauty, it's not just about the intangible qualities of a person. It can be about things associated with that person. May not be virtues, maybe things like someone having a vision, a dream, an ideal, and so on. So one thing we know for sure, non-physical beauty remains long after physical beauty has faded. We can say it is possible for that beauty to be enhanced by age, whereas age does not have a positive effect on physical beauty. Now, I would also say this, spiritual beauty can be seen in the soul. How can we see it? Well, one way is to see that beauty by looking through the eyes of a loved one. You are looking through the windows to the soul. When you look into the eyes, you are making contact from your soul to theirs. What do you see? It is hard to put into words, but it is the beauty that does not fade with the passage of time. Here's another way, a variation on this theme. Look into the eyes of a baby. What do you see there? I think you can see wonder, innocence, curiosity, fun. Indeed, it can be quite the privilege to see someone, the baby's true nature, before the baby begins taking on all the tainting influence of the material world. So let me ask everybody this question. What do other people see when they look into your eyes? Is it something beautiful? Can it be beautiful? Well, it cannot be beautiful if there is constant shifting of the eyes. If you are constantly avoiding the gaze, constantly looking somewhere else, constantly unable to sustain that soul-to-soul connection, that is the only way that it can be anything other than beautiful. Because you know there's something to hide, even if nobody else is aware of it. That gives us a clue on the next point, that internal spiritual beauty is something that can be cultivated. Cultivating the Tao, practicing the virtues, these are easy ways to attain this special kind of beauty. Consider something as simple as basic honesty. Truth is beautiful. Therefore, the virtue of honesty is beautiful. And if you cultivate yourself to be consistent in your words and actions, that's beautiful too. To be consistent, not have your words be different from what you actually do. What about the way that you treat other people? If you act from the Tao and treat everyone the same, you become someone who can be very comfortable meeting anybody's gaze. You can hold the contact steady while your heart remains at peace, harmonious, and joyous. When that is the case, the harmony, peace, and joy you feel within will very naturally transmit over to the other person. It is soothing. It is inviting. It is beautiful. That is internal beauty. Our meeting has come to an end, but the journey continues on. Until next time, may the Tao fill you with peace and happiness.